What if I told you that being in love is the absolute worst reason to choose a life partner? Most people base it on chemistry and love. And there are actually 4 other qualities that are significantly more important to really vet about your partner before you decide to spend a life with them. And that's what I want to talk about today. Welcome to my Broken to Brave podcast. I'm Donna Barnes, the love coach. So yes, of course, you absolutely need to be in love with the person that you're going to walk down the aisle with, or however you choose to spend the rest of your life together. However, that is the least important quality. Don't be naive and just think that love will conquer all. I think that's a big mistake. So let's unpack the other 4 so that you can really vet someone. And by vet, think about it, right? If you were hiring somebody for a job, you would vet them to see their qualifications and to see if they were a good fit for your company. And it's exactly the same thing in choosing a life partner. But most people don't think of it that way. They think about their feelings and falling in love and all of that, which is wonderful and exciting. But it's also why most relationships only last 3 to 6 months. That needle in a haystack that you're trying to find that will last longer than that 3 to 6 months is really based on the other 4 things. So let's unpack them. And really, first and foremost, I believe it's how you resolve conflict. And do you avoid conflict? Do you enjoy conflict? How do you fight necessarily? It's not something that you would really talk about in the beginning of a relationship, except that I think it's a really good thing to talk about in a relationship, in just how do you deal with things? Because I've talked about in red flags, in noticing how people interact with the waiter and things like that. But it's usually not until you get deep into a relationship and you have your first argument that you figure out how you respond to arguments. And then it's usually too late. That's how people get sucked into toxic and abusive relationships, because you fall in love, you're having this amazing honeymoon phase, and then you have your first fight. And if it's a really toxic fight, now what? You're crazy in love with this person, but you just had this toxic fight. And I could tell you this, as a much younger person, I unfortunately just lost the guy that, we'd stayed friends. I said to a lot of people we were much better as friends than we'd been as a couple. But when we first fell in love, it was amazing. But then when we had our first fight, it really was eye-opening, but also confusing, because it was so out of character of who I thought he was. But it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And that is usually how abusive relationships begin. And it's so much easier than you think to get sucked into that when you've fallen head over heels in love with somebody that you think is your soulmate and you're really connecting. And then you realize that you have a really toxic fighting style. And alcohol can make it even worse. If somebody likes to have several cocktails and then is an angry drunk, unfortunately, usually you don't see how someone handles conflict until you've been in the relationship for quite a while. But you can ask questions about how do you handle conflict? How do you like to resolve disagreements? I think is a really great question. Look, we all have our moments, right? We all have our something sets us off. We have an angry reaction to something or a frustrated reaction to something. But having a conversation about how you deal with those things is really essential in choosing a partner, because I always say people reveal themselves if you're paying attention. And if you ask the right questions, people will reveal themselves. So asking how someone resolves conflict, and look, of course, they're going to give you their best answer, but if you really listen to what they say and then ask follow-up questions about how they handle if they're upset with somebody, or if they're trying to get something from somebody, or trying to resolve a disagreement, how do you most effectively do that? I think is a really important conversation to have in the beginning of a relationship before you actually have that argument, so that then all of a sudden you're in the middle of some really toxic argument. You can go, whoa, time out. I thought you said that you were going to handle it like this. Can we please do that? Right? And energy is contagious. So you can dissolve arguments by not engaging in them, and also in communicating calmly. So having a conversation about all of that, I think, is really important. And then, of course, finances, right? I mean, money is usually the thing that tears relationships apart and that people fight about most, right? Especially if you have different spending habits. I mean, if someone's more of a shopaholic and someone's more of a saver, that's a conversation that you really need to have, because that will create a lot of arguments. You can't jump into spending life together without having a really serious sit-down talk about how do you spend money? What are your goals for the future? What is it that you would like your life to look like if you're going to live together? Finances are the number one cause of divorce. So talking about that before you decide to merge your life is really smart. And you may have heard this before, but I mean, really seriously, uncomfortable questions of how much debt do you have? How do you save? Do you save? Do you live paycheck to paycheck? What are your retirement goals? How would you like to live your life? What kind of house do you want to live in? How many vacations do you want to take? How many subscriptions do you have? I mean, there's so many facets to how people spend money. Are you a shopaholic? How do you spend money is a big piece of it. Because honestly, personally, in my own life, I've dated people who were big spenders, but didn't have the income to match that, and then ended up losing their house in one case, right? So it's really important to talk about how you manage money, how you spend money, and what your relationship is with money. And honestly, years ago, I read a great book that was really about your blueprint of money that you really get from your childhood and how your parents dealt with money, because that's your paradigm that you've learned of how to deal with relationships. So really having a heart-to-heart serious talk about that is how you will decide if you could be good lifelong partners. It's why it's so hard to pick a good partner. I mean, honestly, the notion that love can conquer all is a very romantic thought, but it's really a naive thought, because no matter how much you love somebody, you can't make them change if they don't want to. And unfortunately, in relationships, that power struggle, that dynamic of two people who are very set in their ways, as they say, who are then trying to adapt to somebody who's also very set in their ways, that it's really a dance you do in trying to merge your lives together, especially if you're later in life, right? Let's face it, the longer you've lived, the more set you are in your lifestyle, and finding someone to fit that. And look, yeah, we can all compromise a little bit, right? But you need to really collaborate in what works for both of you, so that one person isn't building up resentments that they feel like they gave up something because they were trying to make their partner happy, but it's not making them happy, which I think happens all too often and is a really slippery slope, which creates that powder keg that ultimately ends up exploding, which goes back to why you need to talk about how you're going to resolve conflict. It's really important. And then in the wake of arguments is really your emotional accountability. Your emotional accountability is the third thing that is essential in determining compatibility. And that's really your openness to growth, to self-growth, and even therapy is really important. How is it that you apologize? Do you apologize? Are you capable of apologizing? Or are you a blamer? Do you shift blame to something else that you're never quite taking responsibility? There's always a reason or a cause or someone else that made you do something, which I think no one can ever make you do anything. You have free choice and you make your own choices. No matter what someone else has done, you always have a choice in how you respond to it. So, unless they're holding a gun to your head, right? But that's not the norm. Are you open to a therapist? If you start having problems, are you open to a coach or a counselor or somebody who's willing to mediate and help you find a better way to get along? I mean, I always say the only winner of an argument should be your relationship, in that you found a better way to communicate with each other, that it shouldn't be about your right or their right. It's your relationship becomes better. Really talking about How do you feel about self-growth? Are you open to change? Or are you, this is me, this is who I am, take it or leave it? Like, you're not willing to change at all. Is a really important thing. I mean, years ago, a girlfriend of mine was getting married and we were in the vows section, and because, I was on my talk show, but the New York Times asked me what I was looking for in a partner. And I said, I needed somebody who was open to self-growth, that had looked at their issues. That's an essential foundation of making a relationship last, is your emotional availability to change and to self-responsibility and to apologizing and taking responsibility for your actions is all highly essential in being happy. And the fourth thing is really your lifestyle architecture, if you will. What is your life going to look like? Most people talk about, do you want kids? But do you talk about how you're going to raise those kids is really important. Do you want them to go to private school? Do you want them to go to public school? Do you want them to go to Catholic school? Do you want them to be raised that they give back? Or do you want them to be in the military or not? Or there's a whole bunch of parenting ideas that really you grew up with that you really need to discuss with somebody if you're going to have kids with them. How do you intend to raise this kid? Religion is also obviously a big thing, but I'm trying not to talk about the things that are obvious, but clearly religion is one of them. But in the architecture of your life, what does it look like? What is it that what is your design for your future in how you want to raise your kids? What is your career path? Are you already in the job that you want? Could you ever move? Could you live somewhere else? Or are you planning to move somewhere else? Do you want to live somewhere else? I mean, your career is very central to your lifestyle. So it's worth talking about. Are you steadfast in your career? Do you have aspirations of giving it up and doing something else? Are you hoping that your partner will take care of you while you explore a new avenue? I mean, you need to talk about those kind of things to make sure that you're on the same page about it. I mean, careers is one of the biggest things to tear about relationships, right? If someone gets a job offer on the other side of the country and you're not willing to go to the other side of the country, that does usually end a relationship. So really talking about your aspirations and goals, and if you're very career driven and you're on a path to something that's highly important to you, you need to check that with your new partner to see if that's something that they're willing to support or that it's going to align with what their career aspirations are. Yes, you absolutely need to love somebody, but it's highly naive to think oh, we're in love, we'll figure it out. Because unfortunately, I think that's what happens. And that's why a lot of, especially first marriages, fail, right? I've frequently said that people have told me that they knew on their wedding day that they were making the biggest mistake of their life, but they didn't know how to stop it. This is how you stop it. Before you get too deep into something, you really need to vet them. And when you start with a first date, you can ask subtle questions that don't seem like you're coming on too strong, right? Because I've long said, if you're not going to see this person again, you don't need to lay out your whole life story. But you can ask subtle questions and one-off questions about, what do you do? Is that something you intend to do? You could absolutely talk about career on a first date. And really, you want to vet somebody just like you would if you were going to hire them to work for your company. You need them to fit in. And your family, you need to take into account too, right? Are you very close to your family? Are you very family oriented? You need to talk to your new partner and make sure that they're willing to be part of that family and also family oriented and is going to fit in with your family. So leave some comments. What are the things that you think are really important to talk about before you make long-term plans together? Is there something that you've discovered that is really important to you? Let's get a conversation going, because it does all come down to commonality, right? I've long said that commonality, which is ethics, values, and goals, is what makes relationships last long term. Really getting into the nitty gritty of what are those values and goals, ethics, really having deep, emotionally intimate conversations about what's most important to you is how you're most likely to find somebody that genuinely can last a lifetime. And I'm here for coaching. If you're in the beginning of a relationship and you're trying to figure out, is this person right? Is this person not? I'm really good at prompting you to ask questions that could help you figure out whether it's actually a good fit for you or not. And don't be afraid to ask those questions. Really, if someone's seriously looking for their own life partner, they're going to welcome it. Those kind of conversations, but you can't bring it up like while you're out having a good time or something. I mean, really, I'm a big fan of making an appointment, of saying, hey, could we sit down and talk about some things? I'd really like to get to know you on a deeper level, and I'd love to find a time for us to just quietly talk. And make it a positive thing, not like it's like, oh God, we're going to have the talk. And just making sure that you're aligned on your lifestyle so that you can make a really good choice of whether you belong together for the rest of your life. So thanks for watching. I love your comments. Leave me your comments. And I look forward to seeing you in my next episode. Thanks.